So tonight we'll discuss the equity schemes and scholarships application process, eligibility and evidence requirements, impact statements and statements of support, and important dates and deadlines. We'll begin with who can actually apply for equity schemes, so special consideration and scholarships through VTAC. You're eligible to apply if you are a domestic VTAC applicant, so hold Australian or New Zealand citizenship, you're a permanent Australian residency visa, or an eligible temporary protection, safe haven, or humanitarian visa, or bridging visa holder applying for a humanitarian visa. Most international Australian Year 12 applicants are not eligible to apply for equity schemes through VTAC and are encouraged to contact institutions directly to see if other entry and access programs are available. However, asylum seekers on certain visa subclasses can apply for equity schemes. Okay, so on to special consideration. Special consideration through VTAC is granted through SEAS, the Special Entry Access Scheme, which falls under our equity schemes application. SEAS is primarily about life circumstances and events that have impacted on your ability to perform at your best in your studies. It compensates for educational disadvantage by making your application more competitive. And it does this by increasing your ranking for selection. So it increases your selection rank for courses. Your selection rank begins with your ATAR and goes up from there to include adjustments such as special consideration. So SEAS won't change your ATAR. Your ATAR will be calculated purely on the maths, so your scaled study scores, but can increase your ranking for selection. So you complete one form and it covers all of your eligible preferences. SEAS is considered by all of the major universities and most of the TAFEs and private colleges. As we said, it compensates for educational disadvantage by increasing your ranking for selection. While VTAC administers the process and convenes a specialist panel to assess each person's application, special consideration is applied by each institution and in accordance with their policies. And they all apply it differently. Some institutions have calculators on their websites, which can give you an idea of how they apply it and the effect it will have on your ranking. From the top of my head, Deakin, Monash, and La Trobe have calculators. So if you just Google Deakin Equity Calculator or La Trobe Equity Schemes Calculator, you'll find it pretty quickly. The equity schemes application, which includes SEAS, becomes available after you have submitted your preferences. Now, SEAS is not a separate pool of places. You're still applying to the same spots as everybody else. While it makes your application, while it can make your application more competitive, it does not exempt you from meeting course requirements. So if the course has prerequisites, they still need to be met. If it requires an interview, you need to show up on the day. The outcome of a SEAS application is confidential and not disclosed to the applicant. This is for two reasons. The first, to protect the integrity of the process, but more practically, because it's applied differently by each institution. Importantly, and I want this to be abundantly clear, a SEAS application can have one of two effects on your course application. It can either benefit your application by increasing your ranking for selection, or it can do nothing. So this is my roundabout way of saying SEAS can never disadvantage your application. You either benefit or nothing happens. In terms of the type of circumstances equity schemes considers, we have a few examples on the screen. This is by no means exhaustive. I could fill the next dozen slides with more examples. The main ones tend to be financial hardship, which many Year 12s apply under using their parent or guardian Centrelink or family tax benefit statement, or under circumstances related to health, physical and or mental. But you can apply for as many categories or areas that are relevant to your circumstances. Before we really dive into the application itself, we'll first outline the process. So the first stage is you complete your application and submit your supporting evidence. Uploaded evidence will undergo an initial review by VTAC, where it is either approved or not approved or rejected. This initial review is simply a document check. We're checking that the document is legible, that it's the correct type of evidence, that it addresses the educational impact. It is not where special consideration is granted. That comes later. If your document is rejected and it is before the October 10 deadline, you will have an opportunity to resubmit. However, if you upload your evidence a day before the deadline, so on October 9, and it is subsequently rejected the following week, you will not have an opportunity to resubmit. We have a document review guarantee deadline of 5 p.m. 5 September. So if you upload your evidence by this deadline, we guarantee that we'll review it in advance of the equity scheme's closing. So if there are any issues, you'll have an opportunity to resubmit. Now, we'll continue to accept and review documentation after the 5th of September, right up until the October 10 deadline. However, we cannot guarantee their review before the October 10 closing date. After the equity schemes applications close, VTAC convenes a specialist panel to assess each application. Applications are graded for severity of impact in line with the confidential guidelines set by institutions. Lastly, special consideration is applied by each institution and in accordance with their policies. As I said earlier, the outcome is not disclosed to the applicant, and this is to protect the integrity of the process, but more practically, because each institution applies it differently. Before we get into the specifics of what the equity schemes application considers, I'm going to touch on scholarships. This is relevant as our equity schemes application, so what you complete to apply for special consideration, is also a scholarships application. So by applying for special consideration, you're also applying for scholarships. Scholarships are a very, very broad area. They're awarded on different criteria, not just on academic merit. If we zoom out though, broadly, we can put scholarships into two categories. We have merit scholarships. So these are for high achieving students. Then we have equity scholarships, which exist to assist people access tertiary study when they would otherwise not be able to afford it. Many of the scholarships through VTAC's equity schemes are awarded on an equity basis and can provide students with financial support for tuition, accommodation, computers, supplies, and general cost of living. With VTAC scholarships, you're not applying for individual opportunities, but a pool of scholarships offered by the participating institutions. If you meet the criteria, you may be offered one later in the year or early next year. There are also scholarships that will require a direct application and will have differing criteria. If you know which institutions you're going to apply to, it may be worth your time perusing the scholarship section of their website for any of these opportunities. It's one of these odd situations when it comes to scholarships. Institutions have these various piles of money sitting there that they'd like to award, that they need to award. Some of it comes from government grants or various philanthropic trusts, but they often struggle to award it because they don't get enough applicants. So it's definitely an area worth investigating. Okay, so what are the circumstances considered by equity schemes? There are four main areas of consideration within, and you can apply for as many as are relevant to your circumstances. The first is personal information and location, which is based on demographic data that is already in your account and on things you've already told us about yourself. Next, we have financial hardship. Most applicants under this area apply with Centrelink documents, either their own or their parents'. However, if there has been financial hardship, but no government benefits, you can apply with written statements. So an impact statement and a statement of support. If the circumstances relate to your health, physical or mental, you can apply under disability or medical condition. Then we have difficult circumstances, which is a very broad category and is anything beyond your control that has negatively impacted your education and not covered by the previous categories. Depending on the difficult circumstance, you may need to write an impact statement and provide a statement of support. Personal information and location uses the information you've already provided when creating your account and profile. So for instance, we know your age and location. We know where you're going to school. You've already told us if you're the first in the family to attend university. We use this information to automatically apply any consideration for which you're eligible. This means that you don't need to do anything for this. You don't need to opt in. You don't need to provide evidence. You don't need to write anything. We just apply it. This can only benefit your application. If for whatever reason you don't want this automatic consideration, you can opt out in the Manage My Permissions area of your BTAC account. Next, we have financial hardship. This considers things such as receiving or being a dependent of a person in receipt of Centrelink or government benefits, excessive financial obligations, individual or family economic hardship or poverty. While most will apply with their or their parent guardian Centrelink documentation, you do not need to be in receipt of government benefits to be eligible under this area. There are three ways you can provide supporting evidence for financial hardship. First, if you receive Centrelink benefits directly, so they are made to you in your name, you can enter your CRN and we can digitally retrieve the records on your behalf. We cannot access your parent or guardian's records this way, only yours. Or you can upload a recent Centrelink statement like the one displayed on the screen. This is usually the option for Year 12s applying with their parents' family tax benefit or Centrelink records. Third, if you or your family do not receive Centrelink benefits, you will be prompted to write an impact statement detailing your circumstances and their educational impact, and then provide a statement of support. Living with a disability or medical condition is next, and is pretty self-explanatory in terms of what it considers. I will confirm it includes mental health. You will need to state your diagnosis or condition, the duration, so whether it was a specific time or is ongoing, and write an impact statement detailing the effect on your education. You can claim more than one condition or disability. Just ensure you are addressing the impact of each within your statement. You will also need to provide a statement of support from the health practitioner you've been consulting. This should confirm everything you wrote in your impact statement, so the diagnosis, the duration, and details the educational impact of what you've experienced. Examples of health practitioners are GPs, specialists, psychologists, physiotherapists, mental health counsellors. It just needs to be someone who is qualified to make a diagnosis. If you have previously received a diagnosis and have confirming documentation, but are unable to obtain a statement of support from a health practitioner, you can upload your documentation along with the statement from a non-medical counsellor or member of school staff to speak on the educational impact. If you are awaiting a diagnosis, you can provide a statement of support from a health practitioner who can advise the situation. So if you've been referred to a specialist, they can detail how your symptoms are impacting your education. With your statement, you're not being assessed on your grammar or your writing skills. So give brief, clear statements. You can use bullet points to ensure you're able to detail the educational impact you've experienced within the character limit. So you need to emphasize the impact on your education. What you need to understand about this application, the CEES application as a whole, is that the independent panel and the universities, they're looking for insight into your potential. So if it wasn't for this circumstance or this disability, you would have performed, so well. That way, they know how much special consideration to apply. We often get asked to provide examples of impact statements, which we tend to shy away from because it's very important that applicants use their own words when outlining their educational impact and their condition, as opposed to using generic examples. Lastly, we have difficult family and life circumstances. This category is for anything beyond your control, which has negatively impacted your education and not already covered by any of the previous areas. We have a few examples on the screen. This is by no means exhaustive. You'll be prompted through this area as it asks a wide range of questions about circumstances ranging from disrupted education, assault, refugee or asylum seeker status, natural disaster, and more. Your evidence requirements will differ according to your circumstances, but you'll be notified during the application. Many will require an impact statement and statement of support, but not all. For example, high impact circumstances such as homelessness, domestic, family, and sexual violence, all you need to do is provide a statement from a government or community organisation that confirms the circumstances. There are examples of such organisations on our website. One of the easiest ways to get to this list is just Google VTAC recognised government and community organisations. But provide this and you don't need to write an impact statement or outline the impact on your education. Another example, for death of an immediate family member, you can provide a death certificate. For natural disaster, you're only required to provide a statement of support. But as I said, as you complete the application, you'll be notified within. At the bottom of this area is an option for other circumstances not listed above. You'll need to write an impact statement and provide a statement of support. With all impact statements within difficult circumstances, you need to identify the circumstances and focus on the educational impact, in the same way as in living with a disability or medical condition. So while statements of support for disability and medical condition will come from a health practitioner, statements of support for financial hardship and difficult circumstances have to come from a responsible adult. A responsible adult for the purpose of equity schemes is a person who is at least 21 years of age, has known you for at least 12 months, or the duration of the circumstances, is not related to you by birth, marriage, or de facto relationships, and does not live with you. So it could be a family friend or a trusted person from the school. But remember, the best person to write your statement of support is the one who can speak to your educational impact. We have a fact sheet available that outlines the requirements. This is perfect to bring with you to a doctor's appointment or give to the person completing your statement to ensure they include all the information we need. This is a free download available from btac.edu.au/fact sheets, or just Google BTAC fact sheets. There are two ways you can provide us with evidence. Neither is preferred by BTAC, it's whichever is more convenient for you. The first is uploading a PDF or scanned document. The second is to generate an online statement of support request. So to submit your evidence, you'll first need to head to the providing evidence part of your BTAC account, which is available from the top navigation bar. There'll be a table summarizing the evidence required based off of what you've entered in the equity schemes application. Just click on upload evidence and a window will appear. Here you'll have the option of uploading a PDF or scan or generating an online statement of support request. To generate an online statement of support, select the option, enter the health practitioner's or responsible adult's email address and send. They will receive an email with a link, which they can use to enter our system and input their statement directly. You will be able to see in your account when an online statement of support has been submitted, but you will not be able to access what your health practitioner or your responsible person has written. So you'll be able to monitor the status or receipt of your evidence within your BTAC account. So if it has undergone that initial review or whether the online statement of support has been submitted. So we're nearing the end of the presentation. I'll just reiterate that uploaded documents go through an initial review prior to being assessed by the independent panel. It's a quick check to ensure that there are no problems. The type of problem might be an illegible or blank document, an out-of-date financial statement, or a document that doesn't address the educational impact. With thousands of applications, this process takes time, which is why we advise applicants to submit their documents as soon as they are able. This can help ensure that the initial review is completed in advance of the equity scheme's closing date on October 10. That way, if there is an issue, they'll have an opportunity to resubmit. Submit your documents by 5 p.m. 5 September, and we guarantee their review before the October 10 deadline, which will give you peace of mind. If you need further details or need to discuss some of the circumstances more thoroughly, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can call us on 99261020 during business hours, email through your BTAC account, or get in contact by the social media channels on the screen. In terms of calling, don't expect sort of these long wait times that you'll normally get with like Centrelink. You're not going to be waiting 40, 50 minutes. It's usually between 5 and 10 minutes, sometimes even lower. So please don't hesitate to reach out.